Hey y'all, I'm Allison Asarch from Nashville, Tennessee.
Hey, I'm Sean Fraser from the Ritzy Kids.
Hunters, this is Johnny from Rail Motor.
Hey, it's Shane from Blind Season.
Hey, it's Rob Stanier, and you can check out my music on all the streaming platforms.
Check out my latest music on all the streaming sites.
Check out my debut album on all streaming platforms.
Check out our new debut album.
Check us out on Spotify and Apple Music, and you're listening to our friends Braggy and Curly.
My favorite bands from Australia.
My two favourite podcasters,
Braggy and Curly.
Braggy and Curly
On the
Unfiltered and Undiscovered podcast.
Hey there, everyone. It's episode 85, and welcome to the Unfiltered and Undiscovered podcast. We've got an amazing episode for you tonight. We're actually recording this 2 days after having a chat with our special guest. So we're both on I'd say a little bit of a high, but Braggy's also on a high because the first test started today.
Tony, Curly, you know it's summer when Marnus Labuschagne gets 100. And first day, the first test, I love it.
That good old Queenslander, Marnus.
Yeah, he's a good boy.
He's probably the guy with the most personality in the cricket team. You've got to admit too. He's got a fair bit of personality.
Definitely.
The way he talks to himself.
Everyone else is a little bit boring,
So-
yeah. And Smith is a bit more
Yeah.
boring now than he used to be. So yeah, I agree totally. I like it. I love it.
Yeah. So a good first day at the cricket. So I think we're going all right. Dave Warner went early, and
Yeah.
Smith's starting to settle himself in, and Ushman,
Uzi,
got a half.
Uzi got a
ton,
half
so-
ton. But I love
Yeah.
it when the West Indies come too because they're cool.
Yeah,
But-
they're all
Yeah, they're
personalities,
just laid
so
back. I love it.
they're- And hold on to that personality thing. The only bit of news I want to share, Ritzy Kids got a new single coming out this Friday. So by the time this podcast drops, it'll be out. It's called Crank Up the Stereo. Sean's still prolific, isn't he? He's still
smashes
just getting
it,
those
man.
singles
and
out.
he's always up to something.
It's
He's got podcasts
Yep,
going. He's doing this.
absolutely.
He's doing that. He's a hard working boy, and it's really good.
he's just got that radio voice too.
He has,
doesn't
and you
he?
know what?
So
I think we've had him on
something that-
3 times, and we've had Alison Asarch on 3 times, so it's a tie. So we might have to break that soon and get
Yeah.
Shawnee back. Shawnee Bear.
Yeah, absolutely. Hey, we had an amazing conversation. Now we haven't told anyone of our special guest, and maybe, it was the most nervous I've ever been going into an
I was
interview,
very nervous
Craig.
because this guy's he's an intellect. He's a big reader, and and as you saw in the interview, his memory. And when we talked about some of the older days, was like recalling bands and places and people and songs, and don't you think, and albums? He's just switched on and funny.
Absolutely. Of course, we're talking about Dave Graney. So we were absolutely stoked that Dave came on and spent some time with us, as we call ourselves, the two dickheads that run the show.
and Claire.
But and Claire was amazing. So,
She's a genius.
And we talked about so many things. So the listeners and the viewers are going to get such a treat because we start the interview incredibly informal.
We do,
don't we? And we start talking about South Australian football of all things. So let's get a muso on and let's talk about what footy team. he
Yeah, well, I think
supports.
Dave kind of asked me about what team I support, and as everyone watched the podcast probably know, I support the Redlegs. And then, I love the guy, but the only thing that pissed me off is he's a fucking Sturt supporter, Curly, and and he'll know exactly how I feel. Because he thinks I'm a fucking Norwood supporter. So yeah, it was great.
Absolutely amazing. So I'll just do a little bit of a bio around Dave Graney before we get straight into the interview. So him and Claire have played together all this time. So the Moodists were their very first band. In '86, they formed the.
Hang on one sec. I think. Hang on, sorry, Curly. I don't mean to do this, but he was actually the Sputniks was first. Was a punk band,
That's
the Sputniks,
right.
and then
that was his first.
Yeah, that was
band.
in Adelaide here. Yep, and then the Moodists when they moved to Melbourne.
There's a story in the interview about that. So the Sputniks, the Moodus, Coral Snakes, White Buffaloes. He's been the Dave Graney. He called himself the Dave Graney Show.
Yep.
And once again, there's a great question in the interview in relation to that. And him and Claire have obviously just put out a new album. It's called Dave Graney and Claire Moore, and it's called In the Mistly. So we start, and as I said, there's no formal introduction. You will see the interview as we just started recording and just started talking, and it's an amazing interview. Please welcome Dave Graney to the Unfiltered and Undiscovered podcast.
Hi, it's Dave Graney.
And Clare Moore.
We're here with Braggy and Curly on the Undiscovered podcast talking about our new album, In a Mistly. And wow, they really upset me, didn't they, Claire?
Just to hit, baby. Oh, you're just too hip, baby. Oh, yeah. How did you get so detached? Talking a mouth full of cash. You're just too hip, baby. Take a feather from every bird you see. You never fly. You're just too hip.
Hey, what was your Adelaide SANFL football team?
Who do you think, mate? Can you see here?
What is that? I can't see.
North.
Champions. Norwood.
What?
Yeah.
Norwood?
Yeah.
Norwood.
Who
Wow, the
you
Redbacks.
guys?
Sturt.
Oh no, not that's it. The interview's off.
Norwood is Paul Kelly.
Oh,
Boring.
was he Norwood too? I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I didn't
And
know-
Adelaide. Sort of.
I knew he was a
Adelaide.
cricket fan, but I didn't know he was a footy fan.
Yeah, anything boring, he goes for it. Yeah,
Oh, well,
I'm not saying
we
boring.
did record that, Dave.
thing.
So
Being negative.
we'll start there, Dave. Dave, you came from Mount Gambier. How did you become a Sturt? Was Claire a Sturt supporter when you met her?
Well, Claire's family ran a pub right near the Sturt ground, as it happens.
Yeah, they ran the Earl of Leicester Hotel, so we had no
yeah.
choice. And we
Okay.
had to barrack for Sturt, but I got really into it. But I'm not sure why you did. You weren't there. I mean, Dave didn't come to Adelaide till 1978.
Yeah, 77, 78.
Yeah, so I was going to all of those great grand finals where they won for, like 5 years in a row. And
What
all
were
that.
Norwood doing then? Just
I'm not
easy
sure.
beats. I
See-
think.
Norwood weren't in any of those,
Yeah,
no.
strangely.
See, I'm
They had one good player, and his name was John Wynne. One
Okay.
tough player. And they had that. They were like Melbourne. They had that like Robert Flower type guy on the wing with the curly hair.
See,
But
I'm
Mount
a
Gambier
fairly
was.
newcomer to AFL because I come from North Queensland. I've been in Adelaide for 20 years, but so
Right.
I was like a rugby league fan, so I just adopted Norwood because my daughter went to the primary school and the high school. So that's,
Well, they're the most. Oh no, what's the? I can't use any of the words anymore in this
poshest.
woke world we're in.
the most.
Don't say it.
You can say that you want.
They used to call Geelong the handbag brigade. But they've won too many premierships now. Norwood were like that, yeah.
Yeah.
And Melbourne AFL people mock their fans or go skiing in August, September, so they're never at the games. But Mount Gambier, to answer your question, was on the Victoria-South Australian border, so it was a rich culture. We could get South Australian and Victorian beer, and our local football league was half Victorian country teams and South Australian, and the television was as much South Australian football as the VFL. So, but I was influenced by my older brother Steve, and he went for Sturt. And when I started barracking, they just had a run, like Claire said, of winning 6 premierships in a row. So it was great time.
It's a nice feeling
Yeah.
when your team wins. We have since been barracking for St Kilda, and of course they are probably never going to win
Yeah.
again.
They've won 1.
They promise so much.
Mm.
So you moved to Adelaide, and how did you guys meet? How did you two meet?
We just met in the Adelaide rock scene, and the Adelaide rock scene was quite vibrant. There was lots of when bands from Melbourne could play for a week in Adelaide.
Yeah, there were lots of venues, and there were lots of parties on. So we met up at many parties, I suppose, didn't we? And found that we liked the same music that way. So at the parties, we would. If the party was at Dave's place where he lived with several other people, you kind of got to know where you wanted to be and who you wanted to be with by the record collection.
Yeah, Adelaide was a big place for backyard parties and barbecues, and also they would always be invaded by bikers at some point during proceedings. It was guaranteed because Adelaide was the size that bikers liked. They could intimidate people. Where in Melbourne or Sydney, they're kind of they just disappear into the suburbs. But
lots of my friends used to go to other people's parties, and there was a large group, especially blokes who liked listening to Genesis, stuff like that. I didn't really like that. Then there was another kind of crew who were all into kind of like Rocky Mountain Way, that sort of heavy 70s rock music, which I didn't mind, but I wasn't really keen. So when Dave and Steve moved to Mount Gambier, they were listening to post-punk and, Sex Pistols and stuff like that. It was really cool.
But there was Radio Birdman was a big thing in Adelaide, and I think they would have had bigger audiences in Adelaide than anywhere else. And they dominated the music scene there. And I was working in a timber mill in Mount Gambier after school, and all my friends went to university, but they would all talk about Radio Birdman when they saw them, and they just absolutely loved them. These are all kind of country guys, and country guys loved Radio Birdman, and like surfers did, and there was kind of import record shops too, wasn't there? Every city in Australia had import record shops. There were quite a community. So through all those things, we sort of ran into each other,
So in respect of embarking on your own musical careers, can you define that initial moment when you said, I've got to be a musician? I've got to play whatever it is. I've got to sing. Is there something that sparked that in both of you?
What about you, Claire?
Oh, yeah, like Dave said, I sort of grew up in pubs, and so when I was really little, my parents ran what is now the Tivoli in Perry Street, and so I just was surrounded by music and not many other children. So I used to watch television and watched all the pop shows and got right into music. I mean, music was huge at that time, and local radio 5AD and that used to just play everything. You heard sort of Led Zeppelin, and then you would hear Engelbert Humperdinck, and then you would hear they just played everying. Do you know what I mean? The song lists were incredible. So
wasn't there the Adelaide Pop Show went for 3 hours on a Saturday?
Oh well, there was happening. It was like Happening 70, Happening 71. There was before that Commotion and Uptight. Lots of TV shows that were on sort of. I think a lot of them were on a Saturday afternoon. So because I didn't go outside that much, I just used to watch them and got right into all of the music that was around at the time. I really loved it, and I just wanted to play in a band, basically, from a very early age. And I went to see the Rolling Stones at Memorial Drive when they came in 1973 or 4, I can't remember. That was my first gig. So, I was just surrounded by music. Adelaide was incredible for music. And the sort of bands who came to Apollo Stadium, I just went to see all of them. And I just always wanted to do that.
In the late 70s, Adelaide had really great licensing laws too. Like we were used to going out to pubs and they were open till 3. And we came to Melbourne in about 1980, 81. Everything shut at 10 p.m.
Yeah.
It was a boring big place, and uptight and closed. So it was quite a shock.
Because would have been Don Dunstan would have been premier at that stage. Is that right? In Adelaide?
He was until 77 or 78. Yeah, he was a fantastic. Adelaide was a very progressive place.
Yeah. Oh, that's a great way to start.
I don't know. What about you, Dave?
I didn't see much live music in Mount Gambier. There wasn't much. AC/DC came to play at a football club once, but I had to babysit my younger brother and sister because both my parents worked at night. I come from a very kind of working class family, and I think I saw Ayers Rock at the same football club. A few Mushroom did a few package tours, and they played at King's Theatre, like a theatre, like Madder Lake, and I saw the Dingoes and Matt Taylor. But my first gig I ever went to see was at the theatre, and it was the Master's Apprentices.
Yeah. And that was the Spark. That was just I was 10 years old, and it was like a rock gig. The Spark for me was punk rock, really, but it was just like everything else. It was like a fantasy world, but punk rock brought things a bit closer. I played at a party with a few friends, and it was a big thing to get it together and just try to learn all those skills, and just did a whole bunch of cover versions, and it was exhilarating, and we got paid quite a bit of money. So we thought, wow, that's easy. You could make a living doing this.
Did you just sing then, Dave? Did you play guitar as well?
I couldn't play guitar. No, I was just singing.
Singing.
And for my whole experience when I started playing music, I was just a singer. I didn't start to perform with the guitar until about after the Coral Snakes finished it in about 1997. Until then, I just wanted to stand there and sing.
But you wrote with the guitar.
But, I wrote songs with a guitar, but I didn't perform with one. But I was a terrible singer too.
Did you write together? Did you write as well, Claire? Or were you just in the early days?
Started writing later. When you play drums, it's a bit hard to write. I mean, we used to get stuff together in the rehearsal room, and in the band we had the Moodists. A lot of it was bass and drums oriented. So, we did used to split up the songwriting credits.
It was like band. A real band writing songs.
But to actually sit down and write a song and sing it and everything, I didn't start doing that till probably the 90s when I went back to playing. I play vibraphone now, but when I grew up, I did like 6 or 7 years of piano, so I could always play piano. I was playing piano before I played drums. Yeah.
All right. So you could read back in the.
Sorry.
You could read music then back in the day.
I could. You just don't ever have to do it in a rock band, though. Really.
Yeah, I know. I know what you mean. I mean, I can't do it.
So
either.
You sort of lose it really quickly if you don't actually read. But I can. Yeah.
Yeah. Cool.
Excellent. So let's talk a little bit then, because one of the things that I'm intrigued about is this creative process when your music partners, your lifelong partners. Describe what that can look like in the household. That time where you sit down, you're being creative, and you're putting some tunes down and adding some lyrics in.
Do you do it together, or
how does that look like?
Doesn't look anything like you described.
Dave usually just sort of strangles the guitar a bit, and then a song comes out eventually. But he plays it over and over and over, just while we're sort of around the place, or watching TV or something, and then eventually it turns into a song. And it's good because I get to hear something from all of the songs from the very start, and then eventually, he might write lyrics for that, and then
or I can ask, does that sound familiar? And if it sounds familiar, it means it's good.
It depends what it reminds me of, though.
If it's been used before, it's good.
Yeah.
So, okay.
Gotcha.
So if it's familiar, it's something you've already written before, because I don't think any of your stuff sounds like anything else, really.
Right. Oh, well, you have to work out ways of talking and or even to remember a bit for yourself. You say, can you play it like, want to play this bit like Steely Dan, or we want to hold the groove tight like Fleetwood Mac, or like, Peter Green's Fleetwood Mac or something, or we want to do it like Fleetwood Mac, like the horrible era Fleetwood Mac, the Stevie Nicks era, or do it. Let's play this like really open ended, like the Grateful Dead, and generally we like that with that kind of shorthand. We have a bass player and drummer. We've recorded 4 songs on a new album. Bass player and guitarist. Stewie on guitar has played with us since 1998. He's the longest, person we've performed with, and he's much younger than us, so we can't use language like that really. But he's very good with our songs, isn't he?
He is.
Just because we've played together for a long time, he kind of gets the grooves and that. And Stu Thomas, our bass player, is equally good. Very musical people, and but sometimes I can't use the same references. You have to have that kind of quick musical language, I think.
And we do need to record things fairly quickly too, because Dave is pretty prolific. I write songs a lot slower, but he's sort of turning out songs quite a lot, so we need to get them down fairly quickly.
Yeah. Okay, so listening to the new album, In a Mistly, there's what I would describe now, once again, I'm not a muso and I have never written a song. I've written a book, but I've never written a song. But there's almost like this childlike wonder that surround the lyrics to me.
Oh, really?
So I don't know if I'm insulting you by saying that, or whether that's something, but it's really unique the way that you sort of speak about everyday life and put it into words and concepts that are like a child just looking at the world in a whole new way.
I've never had that said to me before. Thank you.
So you're not
going to get a lot of
insulted?
things like that from Curly.
I'm confused, but not insulted.
So, I mean,
nobody's ever said
while you guys were in lockdown, most of these songs, yeah?
Some of them. Well, we started to do online live shows and like using a thing called Stage It, and we've done about 135 of them so far. People pay $5 American to access it. We play for 50 minutes, and we do that each week. So we were churning through tons of material of our own and doing other songs, and it wasn't the normal situation of doing a gig where you have to kind of build something around perhaps 1 or 2 songs that you think people might want to hear. Who've come along, which is nice if you've got a couple of songs like that. But you present something new to them, and there's always that kind of dynamic out at a gig. But doing these gigs, we didn't have that because we were online, and it was just a more freewheeling type thing. And we did start to play a lot of these songs during that period of 2021.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's almost like people were watching us write them.
Yeah.
During the gig, sometimes.
Yeah.
Which we thought might be interesting. Doing online shows is a bit strange because there's no one in the room with you.
It's hard to get a vibe.
It's odd. It starts off being really weird. Yeah,
it's like being a sex worker,
and you don't. And you don't know if they can see or hear you.
Yeah.
All the time.
You
it
don't know if they like it or if they don't like it.
Or they can write words and that's shit. They never do, but they're quite nice people. But they try and ask requests, but I always pretend I can't read that bit.
There's usually quite a lot of chatting going on. It's a bit like a real gig, apart from the fact that you just have to. We have to keep asking them if they can hear and see us.
Yeah, the technology. It took us a while to get onto that, and there's technology to it. I'm sure you've looked into technology for doing this, but and it's mostly been built up for young people doing gaming.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But we all kind
it's
of got a
difficult
bit
to
of a
find
boost,
out.
didn't we, during lockdown on the technology front, because we all
Yeah.
had to use
Yeah.
it. Yeah. A
You
lot of the
notice
songs, Dave,
I fussed around with the lighting, yeah.
and Claire, a lot of the songs
Yeah.
seem to be about aging on this new album. Am I right in saying that? I know you're hard to decipher your lyrics sometimes, but you're thinking about getting older a bit more?
I try to write songs like Hank Williams, to be very direct. And I don't know. I don't think my songs are very complex, although they're a bit abstract, maybe. But
yeah.
Well, I am getting older, and you think about it, and then you think that's a common thing. That's something we all share, and you sometimes you walk past a reflection of yourself, and you think, wow. Who's and in that song, How Can I Be Old? I go, wow, who's that old man?
Yeah.
I try to run, I do some weights. I think of old friends. I stop and see myself. Who is that? Who is that old man? Who is that? Who is that old man? What? Oh, how can I be old? How can I be old? Yeah. Come on. Children, tell me.
I connected with those lyrics. I think you're saying like, what clothes should I wear? And like, I've got spots on my face because I'm always asking. I've got a 25-year-old daughter. I'm always asking if I go out, does this look all right? Or because you still feel young. You still feel young inside. I still feel like I'm 18. But but you look in the mirror and you go, holy shit.
I've read books on. People have written books on, the art of growing old and that kind of thing. And there's, you can be loud or you can be quiet. And it's really in the world I've experienced, it's really different with men and women because women are better at keeping friends and being sociable than men. So it's a thing everybody has to think about.
And most of the people in our audience are probably sort of around our age.
Yeah.
So
some people, feel they're growing old at a younger age. They're horrified at, like young girls getting plastic surgery in their 20s. It's mad. But there's another song called "What Used to Be There," which is more about walking around the city and there's a favourite building and it's not there anymore, and Melbourne's a lot like that. And there's another one. I think is there another one about being old or?
Well, there's.
I
think you're thinking about.
Swagger.
Are you thinking? Swagger. What about? We Get Life. Are you thinking about death? I mean, I know when you start to get older, that thing creeps up. Even when you, you know what I mean, doesn't it? You have to think about it at some point.
Well, yeah, that's why Claire said I'm pumping out lots of songs. I just started to think, I've got to get things down. But We Get Life was more about the gift we all get. Being alive is a gift, and it's like a sentence in a way to be in this body for a while. Like it's like a person gets life, for doing something wrong, they get life, and we get life. But it's like it's really an amazing experience we all get, but it's brief, and so it's more a song about that kind of thing.
Okay.
We get life, we get life. We get life, 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 we get life.
With how would you describe your music? I mean, it's unique. It's I see the bio in Spotify that says you're one of the coolest people in Australian music, but also one of the weirdest.
I never write that kind of stuff.
Who wrote that?
I never think I'm cool. We had to go to New Zealand we wanted to go to New Zealand a few years ago because we love music from there, and there's so little interaction. And yes, then the fella booking our gigs, he said, "How would you describe your music?" And he loves Nick Cave, or that's how we were talking about music. And I said, I think what I do is like Goofy R&B. That's what I do. And and one of our favourite acts is Steely Dan, and in a way they're Goofy R&B. It's very R&B jazz based with interesting lyrics and stories, and not so much about feeling and emotion. So that's what I would say.
R&B.
Yeah.
I mentioned on the podcast last week, Dave, that listening to Innemissly, it's delicate, yet it's got depth and space. The music to me is really well crafted. It's the childlike wonder lyrics just sits on top of it. It's just it's well crafted. It's really nice.
Yeah. Wow.
I tell you what I really like.
I'll take that as a compliment. Thank you, Tony.
Being a muso, even though most of the things I've done have just been cover bands, although I really like. I'm so happy. I appreciate the girls are still dancing at the gig.
Oh, thanks to the girls. Thanks to the women for dancing. Yeah.
Yeah, and I guess
surely you've seen it as a musician.
You would have done a few country gigs where there would have been the case. Yeah.
All gigs are like that. It's women start to dance. They relate to music in a really great way. Men just talk about who's playing what, who wrote what, which album was better, all that stuff.
Thanks to the women for dancing, it'd be a miserable scene otherwise. Thanks to the women for dancing, high-fiving and driving toward the cliff, laughing. It was a painting, a still life till they moved. Thank the devil for the women dancing, for bringing it all to life. The boys were stuck to the back wall, frozen with beers in their hands. The band was flapping in the breeze, trying to get off the ground. Thanks the devil for the women dancing. The boys warm to the idea. Thanks to the women for dancing. They put the devil in the moment.
How do you get a song list now with the amount of music that you've churned out since the 80s? What goes into the creation of your song list when you're playing live? Yeah.
Depends how cruel we're feeling. Like I'm feeling. Claire's always saying, we should play something from a certain period. Like in the 90s, we had a period of exposure that most people know us from, and before and after that, it's just been very underworld. And me personally, I like that underworld period. And I like to play music that's new and just goof around and just do a show. It's not so much about, really like the Hoodoo Gurus. They do a really tight set of hits, and the church can do that too. We've never been played on commercial radio, so in a way we're free of that. We don't have to provide that. What do you think, Claire?
Oh, we really like doing our new songs, and mostly our audience like it too, I mean, there's a lot of you kind of talk about the songs before we play them and stuff and explain them a bit. And but then, we'll do a few songs that we think they know, or if we feel like it's getting a bit sort of something quiet or something, Dave might ask if people want to hear, if there was something they wanted to hear. And we, after doing all of these online gigs, we know every single song Dave's ever written. I actually know them on the vibraphone because we've been playing recently as a duo, mainly me on the vibe. So I had to learn all the songs on that as well as on the drums. So yeah, I know, and I've got this sort of mountain of songs about that thick of Dave's music that I had to learn in the last couple of years. Which that was a pretty good thing to do though in lockdown. But so now we can kind of play a lot of that stuff, can't we?
At some point, I usually ask people, "Is there anything you came along wanting to hear?"
Okay,
and we play that or those songs, and that's usually really nice. If somebody might just ask for some weird album track,
yeah, they do, don't they?
And that really makes it for us. They might ask for one or two or three songs that we expect, that I expect. In our audience, and I don't mind doing them at all.
Yeah.
But if they ask for something weird, it seems like it's something personal from them, and so that's quite nice.
The most requested song is Three Dead Passengers.
Yeah, it's weird. Yeah.
In a stolen secondhand Ford. Like every single gig, people ask for that song.
It's really inappropriate sometimes.
Yeah, it's really great. We usually do it, but yeah, it's odd.
Dead passengers in a stolen second-hand Ford outside of Keith near the border, wrapped around a tree, thrown across the road, tires spinning like a Ferris wheel at the Easter show. Said you couldn't
I went and saw Nick Cave last week, and he did the same thing on his encore. He's just started asking people for songs.
Yeah, so he's copying me again.
Yeah, he's
terrible.
copying you.
Who was that?
Nick Cave.
Nick.
Fucking Nick Cave.
Really? Did he ask for a request?
Yeah,
he asked for a request. And people yelled stuff out, and I think he only chose the ones that he wanted to play. But
and so what did he do? Do you remember?
Well, he did some of the murder ballads, which was funny, and he said he was really. I thought I've never seen Nick Cave before, so and it was just with Warren, and he said to the rest of the band, "Oh, they really like the murder ballads here in Adelaide," which I thought was pretty funny.
Oh no!
Yeah, everyone took it well. Everyone took it well.
He's referencing the mythological.
Yeah,
murder capital of Australia thing. Yeah, he could have lost them there.
Yeah.
Lucky.
They stood with you. It was good. So
yeah. Oh wow.
Yeah. So and Tate was originally from Townsville, so he has Triple J to thank for allowing new music to come, because up until then he was
it was all
in
it was
Townsville.
all sherbet.
Did you ever play
Skyhooks.
places like Townsville?
We played in Townsville. We toured a lot with the Cruel Sea in the 90s, and we played in Townsville. I think we played in Nullumboy with the Cruel Sea and Darwin, Rockhampton, I think. Yeah.
Rockhampton and Townsville,
Yeah, Rockhampton's a beautiful looking Gothic Queensland place with the sugar cane train down the middle of the street. Townsville's got that ugly mountain that looks straight out of Close Encounters of the Third Kind. And
no, wasn't it a building that looks like a sugar?
Yes,
thing?
It has the sugar shaker.
The sugar shaker.
Is that like a hotel or something?
Yeah, it's like a hotel, and it was round,
big,
so we thought it was
like
the greatest thing we've ever seen.
Big army presence nearby,
but wasn't it the case that Triple J? When they were starting out up there, they had it. They were broadcasting just songs on rotation rather than having.
That's when I first heard.
Yeah, and one of our songs was one that was constantly played. Yeah, some other people have told us that too.
Yeah, I remember. It was one of your guys. It was one of the Coral Sax songs. It was. I always remember "Red Right Hand" by your mate again, and the Cruel Sea. I guess
Funny
it's the same
mention his
time as
name.
well. So,
Hey,
Yeah.
so
Who else
The
was
Cruel
on
Sea.
it on that list?
I think Cruel Sea.
The Cruel
I think
Sea.
would have been on then. So it would be
Yeah,
90.
yeah, probably.
yeah.
Yeah, around that same time.
Oh wow, so that's great.
One question I always wanted to ask: when you guys were the Moodists, and then when you changed to being Dave, you put your name out there, Dave. Was that a
Yeah.
conscious decision, or did you just want to have a name like Johnny Kidd and the Pirates or whatever?
No.
Do you know what I mean?
I'm impressed, Johnny Kidd and the Pirates.
Yeah, shaking all over.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Their guitarist was a guy called Mick Green, who was a big influence on Wilco Johnson, who just died.
Oh wow.
yes.
He kind of
We mentioned him
invented
last
this
week.
style of guitar, like Shaking All Over. It's all these lead and rhythm lines at the same time. It's very clean and powerful.
Wow.
Yeah,
Yeah, Mick Green. Well, the Moodists was a real group, like a unit, and then it finished. And I took a while off, less than a year, out of thinking about doing anything. And then I listened to a lot of music, and I wanted to be like a singer-songwriter, and I wrote a lot of songs, like complete songs.
Mhm.
But I wanted to have a band playing it, like a 70s singer-songwriter like Lou Reed or Tim Buckley, not like a folky with an acoustic guitar style singer-songwriter.
yeah.
Yeah, so it was Dave Graney and the Coral Snakes, and we started in London in 1987, yeah.
Excellent. Dave, just a couple of final questions. I mean, you have won the occasional award. What was it, Braggy? King of Pop? Is that
Yeah, well, that's what he
King
that's
of
what
Pop
Dave
and
said when he got the
ARIA
award.
awards,
I love that
It was
part.
Best Male Artist,
yeah.
and I said King of Pop under my breath because I thought that was more modest, Best Male Artist. And then the next day, the head of ARIA said, "We're getting rid of that award if guys like him are winning it."
Oh, truly?
Yes.
Yeah.
So
How did that make you feel?
Well, I felt like a real outsider anyway, and it was a really odd thing that I won.
Yeah.
When I went up to get the award, the Shirley Manson from Garbage and Chrissy from the Divinals were presenting it. They didn't know who or what I was, and they thought I was like a stage invader. Like,
truly?
Yeah. And that's what it was like. It was just an odd. I was not supposed to be the guy to win that kind of thing.
It was very strange, wasn't it? Very strange night.
And the winner is Dave Graney, The Soft and Sexy Sound.
This year, the many faces of Melbourne's Dave Graney became soft and sexy as he took another U-turn in his ever-evolving songbook.
King of Pop. The king is dead, long live the king.
But I really embraced it, and we did a tour after it, and it was called The Royal Visit. and even Molly Meldrum, who'd never done much for us, he wanted to do an interview for TV Week. They found the crown, the original King of Pop crown that like Johnny Farnham and all them wore.
Yeah, I remember.
And they had my picture in the TV Week with it on. So I was doing all this stuff, and in the rock scene, they were just aghast because rather than being cool and poo-pooing it, and I was really embracing it, and I did anything. All these doors open. I would say, yeah, I'll do anything. Yes to everything was my policy. It wasn't to hide away and be like, a sulking rock person.
So when they called you to go on Neighbours, you just went yes.
Yes, I said yes to everything. Yeah,
it's fantastic.
And Neighbours wrote a part for me where I arrived in a open top sports car with screaming girls chasing after me. It was all
very realistic,
absolute rubbish. But I said, yeah, I'll do that. And I had a scene where I beat up Toadie, and I flirt with Susan. It was just something stupid to do. I went on Sale of the Century.
Really?
Yeah, I saw that on Wikipedia, and I didn't know whether someone was taking the piss.
It's on YouTube. They rang me up and said, "Do you want to? All you have to do is be in the gift studio, laying on a chair we want to sell." And I said, "Send me." We live about 40 kilometres out of the city, and I said, "Send me a stretch limo and a 6-pack, and I'll do it." and they sent a stretch limo to our street. It couldn't even turn around, you know. And I dragged it, and I was wearing all these gold chains, like I had our gold record we received as gold chains, like a rapper. I got them made like that. Rather than hanging it on the wall, I wore it, and I had a tracksuit, and just went in and laid on a chair, and it was. Yeah, I would say yes to anything.
In the gift shop.
Was that still was that Tony Barber still then?
No, it was
Glenn.
The other guy.
Glenn Ridge.
Oh yeah, Glenn Ridge. Cool.
Wow.
Good opportunity. There was lots of TV stuff then in those days. So going on TV was so much fun. 8 Saturday and stuff like that. We really enjoyed doing all those shows. They were great.
In a way, we've never been on commercial radio, and we never would be. And but we got onto television doing these sorts of things, and got into people's lounge rooms, that sort of thing.
I think that the difference was that, you know, by the time Dave won the King of Pop or, you know, Male Artist Award and stuff, we had already had, you know, a career where we got a band together and went to England and toured all over Europe and everything, then came back here in basically in the 90s. And we were a lot older by the time all of that stuff happened, and maybe other people may have been in their careers, you know. So we sort of, you know, we took it all with a pinch of salt.
Yeah.
It was sort of like,
you did the
and it was
Australian thing
great.
and
We
just
just
took
thought
the
it was
piss out of
great.
it.
It was a great opportunity, and you know, but we were sort of good humoured about it.
Other awards we've won, I got voted Brother from Another Scene by Tracks magazine.
The surfing magazine.
Yes, that's right. And
okay.
Award. And Clare and I were both put into the South Australian Music Hall of Fame.
That's right.
In late 2020. 2020.
Yeah.
That was great. We got
that's cool.
This real old school Adelaide DJ Keith
Conlon.
Yeah. It was. We really liked that kind of
that world.
That world of kind of real entertainment people.
Yeah.
Pre-rock and roll types. Like we're friends with lots of comedians like my music lots more than rock people do. Tony Martin's our best friend, and Stuart Lee in the UK, and they get into our stuff. They tune into it. And so through Tony, met people like Pete Smith, and I got to meet and work with Ian Turpie as well. He was hilarious, kind of hard-boiled character.
Excellent. But there's also one that piqued my eyes. You're both living legends at the Leaps and Bounds Festival in Melbourne.
That's a Melbourne thing, yeah.
Yeah, and there was 5.5 hours of other artists playing your music.
That's right, yeah. It was at
Living Legends.
Yeah.
Mm.
No wonder
how
you're
was
writing,
that? How
you're
was
feeling
that?
old.
That was quite good, because they were all really underworld people, you know, young people younger than us doing our songs, and then you know friends and peers like Mick Harvey and Kim Salmon doing it as well, and
Henny Eichinger and
Henry Minetta doing
really
a jazz singer doing our stuff. It was really good night. Yeah,
it was nice. Yeah.
Yeah, because I guess to me that's really humbling, and it's also something that you should be incredibly proud of.
Curly, it wasn't humbling. It was quite, quite an ego boost, actually.
Dave's giving them points out
Yeah, I
of
was
10.
thinking, 5.5 hours of I fucking
You were
deserve
judging
this.
them. Oh, that's good.
Oh, that is beautiful.
And then they tried to play our songs, and we think, wow, they can't fucking do it, can they?
They thought it was easy.
Yeah, well, you need to get that depth and space and delicacy to get the
childlike
music
fucking
right.
wonder.
Yeah, absolutely.
That
So,
Queen's thing.
so Dave,
That's
where
good.
can people get your new album from? Where would you like to send them?
We have a Bandcamp site, Dave Graney at Bandcamp, or our website, davegraney.com, that has it in Melbourne and Sydney. It's in a few shops, and in Adelaide, it's at a shop called Streetlight. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Because I guess, Braggy, you also would be interested in understanding Dave's and Claire's thoughts around Spotify and the streaming process.
What do you think
nowadays?
of that, guys? What do you think of that whole thing?
Well, we're on Spotify
You're
and
on
Apple
Spotify,
Music, but we do still really believe in CDs and selling them. We sell them at gigs. People still buy them. I think they'll make a huge comeback because they're just so much easier than vinyl.
Yeah,
and I think people are getting a little bit tired of the throughout their lives having too much choice. Like it's not really like, I don't know. When you've got a you look at Netflix and you can't even decide on something because there's just so much stuff for it. Spotify can be a little bit like that, I think. What do you think?
People actually liked going into a video shop and mooching around with the limited choice, and you could get 5 for $10, and they would spend an hour looking for 5 horror movies or something.
Yeah.
They like that social interaction as well.
But also, I would go into a store. The person I knew, who running it, who had similar taste as me. So I'd find that shop and go, okay, what have you got that's new?
Yeah.
Show me, or what do you think's good? And you'd take it home. It's good to be able to do that, or listen to a radio station with people who play their own choice of music, who you trust, that sort of thing was always so much better and would never be replaced, I don't think, and I even think that they are actually opening DVD shops again, like higher stores, so I really don't know whether it's going to be around for forever.
I don't like anything to do with artificial intelligence, and when they're always trying to tell you what you might like because you like something else, and they've learned it somehow through listening to your phone or something. And I think that's horrible.
You play, they'll just come up with, oh, you played that, so you must like this.
Yeah, it's terrible. I think it's awful, and I think Spotify could be all right if it was only available to professionals or people who are producing things like yourselves, or so they can access it. But I don't think it should be actually available to the general public. Or they should definitely pay the artists much more. I don't know how that was allowed to happen. Yeah.
Thanks for calling us professionals.
Yeah. We'll put that in.
You've thrown at me.
We're more like Toadie on Neighbours, really.
Yeah. We'll put that in as a testimonial somewhere.
Yeah.
Dave and Claire, it's been an absolute pleasure speaking with you today. It's been a lot of fun. I hope you've enjoyed it, and we'll make sure that those links that you gave us are in the show notes so people can get your product from Bandcamp.
Thanks.
Wonderful.
Thanks a lot, guys.
Yeah, thanks a lot.
Yeah.
Thanks so much.
Thanks, guys.
should tell you about my power, about my mysterious kink. I used to go about fully believing I was invisible. The legendary invisible rock singer, I would open my mouth and spew forth. No blues, no news, just hey mate, yeah you over here, boo.
Braggy. Just going through that again just brought up so many. I don't know if it's memories or whether it's going to be things I talk about in therapy for the next couple of years. How good was that?
Mate, our first ARIA award winner. I'm pretty sure.
Oh, but Mazurek was Chris Mazurek, of course,
Yes.
was ARIA Hall of Fame, but I
ARIA
don't think
Hall
the
of Famer.
Birdman ever won. Yeah,
True. So our second, I should say that then. Yeah. Yeah, look,
Yeah,
they're just lovely people, Curly, weren't they? Like they put us at ease straight away, and we were nervous, but Dave and Claire just so lovely. And I guess that's why they got so far, because of that, one of those reasons, and their talent, obviously.
Yeah, he's very comfortable in who he is, and he's got this really good balance of looking at the world in the way of Dave Graney, but also being able to take the piss out of himself.
Oh,
as
perfectly
well.
put. Yep.
Yeah. So, and I mean, the story about the ARIA is just
and Sale of the Century. I love that.
He just said yes to everything. So he's being on Neighbours and Sale of the Century, just sitting back on a deck chair, wasn't it?
He just milked it. No, not on a deck chair. He was on a sofa. I just love it.
And just went on the royal tour just after winning King of Pop.
King of Pop.
Yeah, it was just really, really good. But you're right. He, just the recall that he had of bands, just the recall that he had of his own career, just was just fascinating. And even the little promo he did at the end for the show and for us was
very cheeky of you. Very cheeky of you, but genius as well, Curly. Well done.
Yeah, so a huge shout out to Dave and Clare, and of course all their links will be in the show notes.
Yeah.
One thing I'm picking up more and more, Bragg, is that a lot more artists are pointing people towards Bandcamp, and I think you made the point with the Rail Motor album that a lot more people, because of maybe the demographic, have actually bought the album through things like Apple Music and whatnot, and you're actually generating a little bit more income.
Yeah, not much more though, because they take a bit of that as well. So Bandcamp is good, but I like the way that they still do it like bands did it in the old days. They take their CDs to the freaking gig and sell them there. That's the way. You make more money that way than you do on fucking Spotify, that's for sure.
Yeah. And as Claire said, CDs are coming back. So they're coming back. So next couple of weeks, we've got a couple of more fun shows. We've got some special guests. We've got a special co-host. I know you're looking forward to that one.
He's my man.
I think he is too. So I think our co-host is definitely looking forward to that.
I'm gonna buy. I think I'm gonna buy a guitar off him.
Oh, surely, yeah.
No, I'm not. But that's just a hint to it. I've been following his socials, and I can see where he's at now.
So, as per always, wherever you're listening to this, please like, subscribe, follow. We're on YouTube, we're on Facebook, we're on TikTok. We've got a website, unfilteredandundiscovered.com. We've got every piece of music that we talk about, that we feature, we put into our Spotify playlist. And as always, don't just like the playlist. Go follow the artist, especially if there's a song there that you haven't heard and you like it. Go follow that particular artist and give them a couple of downloads. So a couple of really great weeks. I'm still blown away by that interview. I hope everyone really enjoys this podcast episode. And in the words of Dave Graney and Clare Moore, you're just too hip, baby. All right. Thanks, everyone. We'll see you next week.
Right thing, soon as I see what it is. In the meantime, I'm gonna release your soul. Girls at home lying with a man he's trying to sleep, dreaming of you. I'm gonna release your soul. You park the car, I'll get the bags, I'll get the clerk. Oh yeah, yeah. I'm gonna release your soul. Your soul. It's gonna be midnight black, gonna be soft, moving hard. I'm gonna release your soul. Take a trip beside the world, breakers rush the shingle shore. I'm gonna release your soul. Everything's gonna be just fine, I'm gonna be over you. Oh yeah, oh, yeah. I'm gonna release your soul. I'm gonna release your soul.
Just to give you a thrill. Hi, it's Dave Graney.
And Clare Moore.
And we're here with Braggy and Curly on the Undiscovered podcast. We'll try that again. I'm sorry.
Oh, you have to mention that.
Yeah.
Hey y'all, I'm Allison Asarch from Nashville, Tennessee.
Hey, I'm Sean Fraser from the Ritzy Kids.
Hunters, this is Johnny from Rail Motor.
Hey, it's Shane from Blind Season.
Hey, it's Rob Stanier, and you can check out my music on all the streaming platforms.
Check out my latest music on all the streaming sites.
Check out my debut album on all streaming platforms.
Check out our new debut album.
Check us out on Spotify and Apple Music, and you're listening to our friends Braggy and Curly.
My favorite bands from Australia.
My two favourite podcasters,
Braggy and Curly.
Braggy and Curly
On the Unfiltered
and Undiscovered
podcast.